guys, thanks for tuning in to the Best Practices Show, where we take a look at the best business practices from the best dental practices all over the world. And we just couldn't be more grateful for this incredible community. My name is Kirk Barron. I'm the founder of ACT Dental Practice Coaching. And our goal is just to give you the best education anywhere and bring you the best people and just make your practice a little bit better and your life a little bit better. And today is no exception. I got a good friend of mine on, and you are going to absolutely love this, Dr. Bo Bruce. Who's just a special man, special human being, incredible teacher, and an incredible dentist. So you don't want to miss this. So do me a favor, just hit the share button, grab a pen, because we're going to talk about some great concepts that are going to make your practice and your life better. And in the meantime, a lot of you have been sending us emails and requests for things that you want to see. The COVID conference was incredible, and it was just a whirlwind for us. We're still getting a lot of requests to keep producing great education, and you're going to see a lot of that coming this way. So we're just re-gearing the engine, and we'll be doing a lot more live stuff, a lot more masterclass stuff, which we'll be talking about. And keep joining us at ACT Dental U. Tell your friends about the Facebook group. There's over 37,000 followers in the Best Practices Show Facebook group. Also, if you want to join the private Facebook group, you can do that at the Best Practices powered by ACT Dental, where you can connect with other people, find N95 masks, gowns, all that kind of stuff in an incredible community. And as always, if you need help with your practice, feel free to join us. You can also hear on iTunes. I don't even know how this works, but we take the audios of these things and we extract them, and then we put them on iTunes. Over 92,000 of you have downloaded the audios. Thank God for you. I don't know how that works, but keep doing that, and again, share it with all of your friends. But I'll share with you a little story. I'm so excited to have you here, and you're a great faculty member here at ACT Dental. You're going to be doing a masterclass, but I want people to know your story. Like, oftentimes, first of all, I love your name because I have a son named Bo, and I would love to say I named him after you, but that's not entirely true. But I want you to tell us your story, the story of Bo Bruce. Who are you, where you came from, all that kind of stuff. So who are you?
Well, Kurt, it is truly an honor to be a part of your show today. It is always a great to be a part of your whatever you're doing, because everything that you do seems to be first class. And so I know this is not going to be anything short of that. So I am looking forward to being a part of the ACT University. And a little bit about me, I have an interesting story, and I'm very fortunate and blessed to be where I am today. Just to give you a little short version of where I am, my parents actually had me at 16 years old. They dropped out of high school and decided they were going to get married and just try to start a family. So at 16, and I've got now an almost 22-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old. So for me to even fathom one of my kids actually having kids right now is pretty it's a difficult thing. You got kids same age, so you understand that. So they decided they were going to go up to Dayton, Tennessee to find a job in a mill. And the reason I'm sharing this part of the story, because you asked me where Bo came from. Well, that first year of their marriage, they met a guy. They only had one car that worked, and they tried to get another car to running, and they asked around town, somebody know anything about this particular Jeep that my dad was working on, and this one guy did, and he fed them a hot meal every single night that first year of their marriage and helped him fix the car. And his name was Bo Booth. And because of that impact that he had on them that first year of their marriage, they named me after him. So that's where I got Bo from. Bo is just a nickname. It's not even a real name. So that's where Bo came from. And then after that, we moved back to the Greenway area, and we lived in a little single-wide trailer almost my entire life. So pretty humble background, but a lot of your viewers probably have humble backgrounds too, so they can probably relate to this. And I was just fortunate that through the years of that, I was around some really good people that loved on me through that when my parents were growing up, the same time I was growing up. So I had, other parents of friends of mine who loved on me through that process too, that gave me some good direction. My grandfather was a big influence on me. I actually lived with my grandfather, who was a World War II vet. He actually passed away this past a couple years ago. He passed away, but at 96 years old. But I had dyslexia really bad when I was in school, and I would flip words around backwards, a lot of that kind of stuff. So I had a 2.0 GPA when I was at the end of my sophomore year of high school. So I was going nowhere. I was on a path to go nowhere. Dyslexia, reading and writing was really tough for me. And, those things were challenging. My grandfather sat me down at the end of my sophomore year and said, listen, he goes, I don't know, you got this problem with dyslexia, but you're going to have to figure it out. Because if you don't figure it out, you're going to be pumping gas the rest of your life. And that particular summer, I actually went to a graduation ceremony. And at that graduation ceremony at a local high school, the high school I was going to, some kids were walking across stage with a tassel that was gold. And I asked them, I said, why do some of those people have gold tassels on their hat? And why do others have the colors of the school? And they said, well, that's Beta Club. What the heck is Beta Club? I didn't know what Beta Club was. And, I had a 2.0 GPA. What was Beta Club? I'd never even heard of Beta Club. And they said, well, what do you got to do I said, what do you have to do to get that gold tassel? And they said, well, you have to have at least a 3.0 GPA to graduate with a gold tassel. Well, at the end of my sophomore year of high school, I had a 2.0 GPA, and I was pretty good at math, but I was really terrible at English. So I said, mathematically, how do I graduate with a gold tassel? Well, I had to get a perfect 4.0 my entire junior and senior year, which I got in the Beta Club one day before graduation. So it was, I was very fortunate that that summer I was able to work hard and figure out how to get my dyslexia thing worked out. My grandfather was another big influence on that. He read the newspaper. He only had a 7th grade education, but he read the newspaper every day. And that summer he told me, he said, you know what, my eyes are bothering me. Why don't you read the newspaper to me? So I read the newspaper to my grandfather that entire summer.
Wow.
So, he kind of knew what he was doing. He didn't have much of an education, but he knew the right path to put me on. And so I was fortunate to have people like my grandfather and others who loved on me through that process, allowed me to, get into Clemson. I got into the engineering program at Clemson, pursued that, got interested, didn't even get to go to my first dental appointment until college. First time I ever went to a dentist. And then I got very interested in dentistry and started pursuing that avenue and was fortunate enough to get in dental school. And once I got in dental school, I met the love of my life, Lisa, which, you've met Lisa, why she's so special. And so we met in dental school, and we have 3 amazing kids. And through that journey, too, after that journey, I landed at a residency program in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I got connected with Peter Dawson, who was tremendous influence in my life. And Peter Dawson did a very unusual thing with me. I'd actually read his book in dental school, the Red Book at that time, read it in dental school, and I didn't know what I was reading, but one of my Frost professors gave it to me just to shut me up because I was asking way too many questions. He said, read this book, which he didn't know what kind of craziness he was going to create because it created more questions for me. So I went down there, and Ann Dawson, his daughter, found out that I came specifically to learn from her dad. And she said, hey, I know you've read his book. And I said, I had all these questions. And she went and got her dad at the break of Seminar 1. I was in Seminar 1 during this residency. And she went and got her dad. She said, hey, this young guy wants to, get connected with you and wants to learn how to do this stuff. And so he came to me at the break and said, Bo, I want to do an experiment with you. I thought, okay, what? And he goes, well, I'm going to take you through every single class that I teach in 1 year. Every class, every hands-on class, every lecture. And he said, and every case that you work on, I'm going to work on it with you.
Wow.
Right beside you. So and why I was blessed to be a part of that experience, I don't know. But, that's part of what's leading into what we're going to talk about in the Master Series is something that's very dear to my heart, the occlusion, the TMD, and those kind of things that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But, that's part of the evolution of my journey of where I am today. And I mean, there's so many giants that we've all stood on the shoulders of to be where we are. And, that's Pete Dawson, my grandfather, a few others like that. They're just tremendous.
Yeah, and can you imagine a world without mentors? So I always, I joke about this, but it's not really a joke. It's like there are so few people that write letters. And I remember the first time I met Pete, I wrote him a letter, and he wrote me back, and I put it in plastic. I still have it, and so. And we just miss him. I mean, he passed away last year at the age of 89, and there's just so few people like that make such an impact on you as a person, as a clinician, as a dad,
Yes.
as a husband.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So.
Yes.
And he was always quick with a hug and a good word,
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's so cool. Now, I want you to talk about, there's a lot of things. I love being with you no matter what. We could talk about fishing and all these other things and faith and all this. But I want you to talk about why this topic is so important. When we talk about TMJ and TMD and occlusion and making it simple, that isn't old school stuff. It's not.
Yeah.
It's every day. Can you just, we've got so many young dentists now through this whole process, through this conference. We've had dental students logging on. And so give us some perspective on why this topic is more important now than ever that we're going to be talking about today.
Well, I'm very passionate about it because I learned early on from my mentor, Pete Dawson, that if you don't understand the fundamentals of how the joint works and you don't understand the relationship that occlusion and the joints play together, you will never be a truly successful dentist. You will always struggle. You will always try to figure out what's going wrong and you won't really know the answers. This information will give you a tremendous insight in how to take your practice to not just the next level, but just how to be predictable in general. Because unpredictability costs us as dentists a tremendous amount of time and money. A lot of time and money. You coach on this. You coach about how to be efficient and how to be, how to get your time and money to where you're actually making money and you're not wasting time in the practice and you're spending more time with your family at home. So those are the kind of things that I am very passionate about this subject because of that thing. There's nothing that's been more of a game changer in my practice than this information. This is the one bit of information that if you do not have it, you will struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the things I want you to talk about too, because when we use the word occlusion, you coupled it with one of my favorite words, which is simple, and it's not often easy. So taking a complex subject like this and making it simple, can you speak to why that's also important now more than ever?
Well, the idea of occlusion from dental school, a lot of times we just think about the teeth rubbing together or how the teeth are fitting together. We think about the blue paper and the dots and things like that. The missing link is understanding what's happening in the joint space. If you really couple the two together, when you understand what's happening in the joint space, occlusion starts making a lot more sense. And so part of my goal is to help individuals, to help students, new dentists, older dentists, doesn't matter where we're at in our career, we're all learning still every day, but to understand the fundamentals of how the joint works so that they understand occlusion even better. Because if you don't understand the joint, you will never really understand occlusion. And that's where the confusion part gets, is that people get confused because they think it's just about the teeth. And it's not just about the teeth. It has to be coupled with the joint and the teeth.
Right. And with so many instructors that we've been around at the Dawson Academy, one of the things that they helped all of us understand is that no matter how beautiful this is, you have to manage the forces. And
Yes.
with people living longer now, so you can create
Yes.
the most beautiful thing ever. But people now, and even in the pandemic, you'll see that there's a lot of stress going on. They carry the stress on their faces, they carry it in their lives. And so making sure that this dentistry is predictable long term is critical.
Well, you touched on something that that is really important, and that's force management. And being an engineering major, I learned a lot about force management. And so, if you understand force management and how to integrate that into your practice, man, it's going to be so much fun. It's not just. I hate it when dentists get frustrated with occlusion, because it is frustrating a lot of times. And when a patient comes in and they're, quote, these TMD patients, they want to run because they think, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with this crazy patient who's got all these joint sounds and problems? I'm going to try to simplify all that, because I'd say 98% of the TMD patients that are coming into our practice are very easily treated. And there's a few simple things you got to understand, and you can treat a lot of those patients with absolute predictability.
Absolutely. What do you think are some of the main things that are misunderstood about occlusion when you look at dental education and the space that we're in?
Well, I think that sometimes we put the cart before the horse, where we think about trying to make teeth straight and bright and white and pretty and all that kind of stuff, and we fail to pay attention to the force management and how the teeth should fit together as it relates to the joint. Again, I kind of keep going back to understanding this joint will make you understand the teeth way better. So too many times I feel like we as a group, and I'm guilty of this too, so I'm pointing at myself. So we jump ahead and we go, oh man, this person wants 6 veneers. That's going to look great on my schedule. I need to do 6 veneers. But yet we forget that there's a lot of other things going on in that patient's mouth that we're overlooking that's going to cause these 6 veneers to fail down the road. And failures is what cost us time and money. And so hopefully this master's class that we're going to do together, it's going to help people actually have more predictability and spend more time at home with their families instead of redoing failures in practice.
Absolutely. And a big part of this is obviously you have to understand it, but then having a team around you of people that can help you put all these systems in place. And the predictability is critically important. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to learn in the masterclass series that's coming up. Now, this will be a week from tomorrow, right, Bo? I think. Yeah.
Yes.
July 24th. I just put up the graphic. So for those of you that are watching, a lot of you guys are already members of Act Dental U, but on July 24th at 11 o'clock Eastern time, Bo Bruce is going to go through the Occlusion and TMJ fundamentals. Tell us what we're going to learn in that class.
Okay, there's 3 things I really want everybody to take away. First, I want you to understand the fundamentals of how the joint and occlusion work and how they play a role with each other. I'm going to teach the basics of how the joint works and how you understand how it works. The second thing I want to follow up on is, why are second molar crowns so difficult and sometimes the most difficult tooth to do in all of dentistry? And a lot of your people will relate to that. They go, oh my gosh, why are second molar crowns so difficult? I'm going to try to put that puzzle together for everybody. And the third thing I like to do is try to teach them some basic stuff that they're going to need to understand in order to treatment plan your TMD patients with predictability in a very conservative way. You're not going to need to buy a bunch of gadgets and stuff like that. I'm going to teach you some very fundamental basic stuff that you need to know to treat your TMD patients. And one way I'm going to teach that is I'm going to actually show a few cases. And the way I'm going to teach the cases is I'm going to show you a video of the patient when they come in with their TMD problem. And I'm going to interview that patient. Then I'm going to give you some solutions and some possibilities of how it can be treated. And then I'm going to show you a follow-up interview of after the patient was treated. So it'll be kind of a neat interactive learning process that you'll see the before and after interviews of a patient that I have treated for a TMD problem. And so those are kind of neat things that we're going to learn.
Awesome, buddy. Well, cool. Well, I always like to end with a couple good words, some good thoughts, or good piece of advice for young dentists. You know, you've been around for a long time. You were once a young dentist, and now,
Yes.
neither one of us are young anymore. Hopefully a little wiser, right? You know, when you look at the future, even through the pandemic, which was a really hard thing, what do you always like to tell young dentists about the future and maybe a good word?
Well, one thing I'd like to say is the longest distance between 2 points is a shortcut. And if you start taking shortcuts, especially in the new patient examination process, then it's going to be real challenging to be as successful as you may want to be in dentistry. And we're not actually going to be doing the new patient exam process, you know, in our master's class, at least not in this master's class. But that part of that new patient exam process, doing it well and looking at joint health as well as teeth, that's going to be real important. So that's kind of a takeaway, and not being afraid to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. We all are going to make mistakes, and I make them every day. And don't think for a minute that the reason any of us teachers are on the Master Series is because we don't make mistakes. It's because we make more mistakes than everybody else. And so, you know, we're here with you. I just want all your listeners to understand that, you know, we're in this together. And that one of my biggest compliments from any class I could ever do is when I finish teaching, the people come up to me afterwards, they go, "Hey, if Bo can do this, I can do it." Yeah. You know?
That's pretty awesome. And I think, I'm sure you can relate to this, Bo, is a dear man that we both talked about, Peter Dawson. That first course I went to see, I was 24 years old, and then I walked up to him at the break and I said, "Dr. Dawson, I did not want to be here." And he's like, "Where did you come from?" And, you know, I sat with him at lunch. I didn't say a word. I was the quiet kid. And when it was all over, I said to him, I said, what's the one thing you would tell me being 24 in this, you know, in this great profession? He said, "I would tell you, don't ever say you have it all figured out. You know, yeah. I don't have it all figured out." And he said, "The dentists that you meet that have it all figured out, they're not that much fun." And it's true. And he said to me, and when I last saw him speak, which was and teach, which was a couple years ago, he said, "Kirk, every day I learn something from these kids, you know, every day." And I think that's the important piece. Is it's pretty cool that you're so willing to share your failures, and it's just a special thing. And I can't say enough about it. The ACT Dental U community and the dental community at large, it's just a very noble profession, and I couldn't be more excited. You've always been my friend, but like to have you teach now is so fun. So I'm going to encourage everyone. If you're not a member of ACT, if you're a member of ACT Dental U, you already get this as part of the package. But you can actually join for a one-time join fee for $49. You can watch the course on July 24th, and we will actually do that particular course on Zoom, and it'll be interactive where people can ask questions and they can go, wait, how did you do that, and how did you put that all together? We also have a 30-minute Q&A at the conclusion. And if you can't make the course, you can watch the recording and stay connected to Bo in the whole process. So, buddy, I appreciate you being on, man.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Well, we got to get down there and see you soon, and I don't know when that's going to be, but hopefully soon. So thank you guys for joining in. We really appreciate you being part of the great community that we feel blessed to be a part of. Join us on the 24th for Bo's Masterclass. Until we see you next time, keep watching the Best Practices Show. You guys have a great rest of your day.